This morning at 1 a.m. within the First Berserker Khazan Discord, we got a massive announcement about the future of the game and the next few patches coming and what they entail. What's up? My name is Pastor Gaines. I am a Souls-like and Elden Ring content creator, and this video is going to entail some of the coolest news coming to the game that I've heard so far. So if you've played First Berserker Khazan, chances are you've probably beaten it and you're starting to move on. First Berserker Khazan was a phenomenal Souls-like and in my opinion right up there with Lies of P, but it just seemed to be missing a few things to keep us invested, and it was definitely missing some quality of life changes that I would have liked to see earlier on that now I'm happy to say are definitely coming to the game, as we've received a note from the developer Jonhu Lee in the Discord this morning. It turns out the team has a ton of quality of life changes coming in the next two updates, and there's also going to be a variety of different boss rush modes and other odds and ends to keep us entertained and playing the game until we find ourselves in a little bit of DLC. Now the first patch is going to hit May 15th, so let's go ahead and cover everything that's coming to us in the first patch, and then we will take a snapshot look at what's happening in the very near future after the patch hits on the 15th. First and foremost, we are getting a new difficulty for the game in this update. It is going to be a hardcore difficulty, and it is going to challenge players on a whole new level. Their main concern for adding this difficulty was they didn't want to add a hardcore difficulty for the sake of it just being hard, but rather they wanted it to be fun for the player as a whole. They want you to say things like this was worth the challenge, and there's something to be proud of when you tell others that you beat the game on hardcore difficulty. We still don't know how hard, in quotes, the difficulty is going to be when they add this hardcore difficulty, but rest assured, it's definitely going to be up there with some of the hardest Souls-likes that you have played so far. Now, for the incredibly exciting news that I am happy about, they are adding two new boss rush modes, the ultimate challenge they're calling it, and there's going to be a Great General's Crucible as well as Berserker's Bloodshed. Now, the Great General's Crucible is going to be a different type of boss rush where you're going to fight through groups of thematically organized bosses, unlocking the next theme each time you clear the previous theme. You're going to fight with design specs, aka your gear, level, and skills are all going to be set. Then after you complete the Great General's Crucible, you are going to be rewarded with a special reward. Now, we don't know what that is yet, but I can imagine weapons, gear, trophies, and much more. The next boss rush mode is called Berserker's Bloodshed. You need to make your character stronger with rewards earned from consecutive fights and push your way through into defeating the final boss. As a reward, you can earn powerful weapons and set items. This is something that I am looking forward to because it definitely has a roguelite feel where you have to gain specs and level up, get more gear and better gear as you go on the entire boss rush. I'm very excited about this, and I think you guys are definitely going to enjoy it. This patch is also going to bring about the possibility for you to unlock Change Appearance, and it will now be available in your first playthrough. So I assume this is going to be the transmog, and it's going to be unlocked after you defeat the Blacksmith's Heirloom mission and unlock the Blacksmith in the Crevice. Now on May 15th, I will actually give you the patch notes of every single thing that they're going to update, but as of right now, this is the snapshot of what we know is coming to us on May 15th. I am incredibly excited. I'm super pumped that they're still working on the game, making things more difficult and more rewarding, and also adding two boss rush modes. Now, I'm actually looking forward to the next patch that comes out after May 15th because in my opinion, this is one of the biggest quality of life changes and improvements that they could make within First Berserker Khazan. They are finally going to allow us to teleport from Blade Nexus to Blade Nexus, cutting out the middleman of the Crevice. This to me was incredibly annoying, especially when I was trying to farm bosses for gear. I would have to kill the boss, then go back to the crevice, reload up the boss fight, then run back to the boss. It just seemed like a lot of unnecessary steps, and because that is not just me who felt that way, but the community as a whole, the next patch update is going to allow us to do so. The reason that they could not get this in the update that's coming on May 15th is because they still need to test a few things in order to make sure that this works flawlessly, they don't want to give us a half-baked product, which I can definitely respect. On top of Blade Nexus travel, you're also going to be able to get items that are going to allow you to fast travel to the crevice or the most previous Blade Nexus. This is super exciting because I've been talking about getting a homeward bone type of item, much like you have in Elden Ring, and this is going to allow you to just go back to the crevice in the middle of a mission without having to find yourself at a Blade Nexus to teleport. Once again, just really solid quality of life changes that I think are way overdue. And other changes that are coming, especially for those of us who like to farm in this game, after clearing certain missions, you will be able to start the fight in front of the spectral portal rather than having to go all the way through the mortal world to try to find your way back to where you were. This is awesome. I'm a big fan of this, especially considering I'm one of the farmers that goes back and gets gear over and over again. And the last thing that is coming to us in this next patch after the 15th is going to be a buff to the Phantom Form mode. Now, we have absolutely no information on this, as they say they're going to share more detailed information in the dev note coming up. However, it is nice to know that they are making some more changes to that, keeping the game more engaging. But that is it for the two massive patches that are coming that should be here on May 15th, and then the second patch is projected to come out in late May. So we'll get both of these in May, and then they are also releasing a roadmap for a June release update, and I'm just going to read off a few things that are set here to come in June so we can keep the hype going for First Berserker Khazan. They're working on balance adjustments for every single class, whether it be spear, dual wield, or greatsword. They're also going to be adjusting set configurations for balance adjustments. They're going to be adding skill presets, which is phenomenal, as well as gear presets, and I hope these are going to be kind of like loadouts so you can just swap back and forth to whatever you need. They're going to increase gear grades. They're going to change the weapon scaling. They're adding 2 quality of life changes, a sorting option to sort items by name, and a storage expansion, which for farmers like me is going to be absolutely exciting and amazing. I'm very, very stoked for this. But there are a ton more changes coming to the game. This will be released mid-June at some point, but that is it for all the big changes coming to First Berserker Khazan. We don't have any news yet of when DLC could drop, as I'm pretty positive they have DLC planned, at least that is what I have heard, but I will leave everything linked down in the description below so you guys can go take a look at these notes in the Discord if you would like to. And then once again, once the patches actually hit on May 15th and then the one in later May, I will have a full patch note guide out for you guys to watch, enjoy, and figure out what is going on with First Berserker Khazan. And guys, there you have it. That is going to be it for everything coming out over the next few months for First Berserker Khazan. Definitely subscribe and stay tuned. If you want to know exactly what's going on in these patch notes, I will have a video breakdown for each patch that comes out over the next few months. So that should be 3 videos in total for the one on May 15th, the one in late May, and the one in June. So once again, thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. I appreciate all of your all's support. First Berserker Khazan has been absolutely amazing. And until next time, guys, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.